Welcome to another Clubs and Corks Golf Podcast. Luke Taylor here, Ben Curtis, and we got Bernice. Yeah, she came back. They always come back, huh? They always come back.
If I'm here, she's here.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget.
Yeah. So another fun guest.
Yeah.
This gentleman is the cosmetic and engagement officer of Dr. Bronner's top-selling natural brand of soaps in North America and producer of a range of organic body care and food products. Different David, right?
David's fine.
So we've got the man behind one of my places, my favorite places to go golfing. We're going there. So I got to be probably nice to him because we're going there in March for our golf trip. So we got Dr. David Bronner. He is the chief executive officer of the Retirement Systems of Alabama. Over 40 years, a Minnesota native.
He's half Canadian.
Right.
He's half Canadian. Did you get lost?
No, I wanted to defrost.
Yeah. I love it.
So University of Alabama law degree. So you've obviously been there for a while. And this was really interesting. I did a little background on you. You were inspired by the movie Field of Dreams.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I used to love to play baseball, but I mean, they build a baseball park in the middle of a cornfield. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But what I was really interested in is trying to change the image of a state, which is not an easy job.
Right. And you did.
Yeah. A little bit anyway.
No, you did. So what I kind of want to know, right? So most people, when they build a golf course, they build one golf course, right? They build one 18-hole golf course at a time. Did people think you were crazy when you're going to build 4, 8, at the same time?
I would say extremely crazy, but this is a great way to get rid of them. In other words, we've been putting up with him for too long, and therefore this is a great chance now. Let him just go screw it up totally, and then we can get rid of this guy that's been bothering us.
The problem is you're still here.
Yeah, I know. But that's I had to put the vultures are still on the fence, looking down at me. They're ready to pounce anytime. So
yeah,
that's what we've been doing.
Yeah. And you've played the Robert Trent Jones Trail, haven't you?
Yeah, I played, when I was in college at Kent State, Auburn hosted down there. So I have very fond memories. At the time, that was our highest finish nationally.
Oh, really?
We finished 9th that year. But I think Oklahoma State won it with Charles Howell, I believe, was the year. But obviously a great place, So, I mean, how did you choose the sites? I mean, obviously you had multiple sites to choose from. I mean, how did that come about?
The sites were actually, I stuck pins in a map to try to see if I could conquer or get something that would work for tourists. Because I knew that, since we were below North Dakota, I think we were last, that I had to have tourists to survive, because most of the people down here, except for the private country clubs, did not play golf. And so I needed some place where it would be interstate access, some place that was unusual. And by all means, like you guys have been to Pinehurst, you've been to Florida, you've been around the country. The biggest thing was to see if I could find not only distinctive places, but places that were different. In other words, you can go to certain places in the country and there's 50 golf courses, and by the time you play 3 of them, you feel that you just saw the same thing again. And so the neat part about Alabama was the demography, really, of the topography of the state, which is so different from one end to the other end, from east to west. And that's what I was trying to capture in that.
Did you know that Alabama's not flat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played there. Well, obviously where Auburn is, right? It's on the lake there, right? But it's
right.
It's got quite a bit of hills there.
Yeah.
As well. But it's very foresty too. I think that's what You don't.
Well, that was Trent's favorite because of, he said, that I do things around the world, but I have usually a developer will say you can have one hole to the water, you can have a par 3 along the water, and then you leave.
Right.
And so Opelika, with a whatever it is, 15 or 1600 acre lake, allowed him to put, I think it's either 34 or 35 of the 54 holes on, or you can see water on 34 or 35 of the holes.
Have you found any of my golf balls from 6 years ago?
You probably need more than one.
Yeah. Good advice. So how obviously when you're coming up with this plan, how did you get introduced to Robert Trent Jones, or did you have other architects in mind? Did you want to just work with one, or how did that work?
Well, Bobby Vaughn was over in the Carolinas. I met him when he came and did a private course here in Montgomery. And he invited me over there to see a 54-hole complex over in the Carolinas. And then we came back. We found we found some free land from U.S. Steel, and I actually contacted. I believe it was 4, might have been 3, 4. I believe it was 4 architects, and Trent was the only one to give me a call. I got some of the architects said, you don't really mean what you mean. In other words, you want to build 18 holes, and then a few years from now, you build 18 more, and then you'd build 18 more. And it's, well, you might think that, but that isn't what I intend to do. So anyway, we settled on Trent, and I wanted somebody whose reputation had been made, somebody that was in the Hall of Fame, and there's only 2 golf architects that are. And I wanted somebody that, probably wasn't going to do a bigger project than this in his lifetime. And obviously it turned out to be his biggest project.
Yeah. It's a lot of, was it 400 some golf holes, but
right.
Now what was the name of it? How did that come about? Was that something you worked with him on, or was that something that just kind of came about through conversations?
I really didn't follow the question.
So how did you come up with the Robert Trent Jones Trail?
That's easy.
Was that him, or was that your idea?
Oh, hell no, that was me.
Okay.
That was easy because, we weren't known for anything. And at least there was a handful of people in our country and around the world that had heard of Robert Trent Jones.
Yeah.
And so it was a natural for me to say to him, I want to use your name on this project because you're going to do it from start to finish.
Yeah.
How long did that take? Start to finish? The
whole thing? Well, see, we did the 8 courses to begin with, and then we added a few more after that. We're up to 11 sites. I don't intend to do any more simply because it's almost impossible to do what we did. You can't get between the cost and the changes in the environmental laws relative to flowing water. You just couldn't do the things. You simply can't do the trail today that we did, when we started 26, 27 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't there another trail? Isn't there someone else has a trail in Louisiana?
No, those are all, no.
Okay.
Tennessee has a trail.
Okay.
And they put it in there when we started ours. Tennessee had one, and they started it in their state parks. And they didn't look at the SMA, as I would call it, or the population, because you have to have an involvement from the local people in order to keep the thing afloat. And then you make your money off the tourist who comes in and enjoys, whether it's 3 days, 5 days, a week. We've actually had some that say 2 weeks. But there's only really one other one, and that's in Tennessee. Everybody else is a marketing deal, whether it's Mississippi or whether it's out west. It's individual clubs. There is no unanimity between one site and another site. There's no consistency that way.
Yeah. I've decided to make I can see it now in lights, the Luke Taylor Golf Trail.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Probably go defunct after.
Is that
about,
a miniature golf?
Yeah. Be great. That's great. What I love about the trail, and we're going back because it's so easy to get to. Okay. So like from Cleveland and Akron in Ohio, we're up in Ohio.
Right.
It's a 4-hour flight. You maybe stop over in Atlanta or Charlotte or wherever it is. You can fly into Montgomery. We're actually going to fly into Birmingham and then fly out of Montgomery. So there's options, and it's actually not that bad to drive to either. I mean, I'm not going to drive 12 or 13 hours.
You could probably fly to Memphis, right? And maybe
Atlanta,
and just pop over. That's what we
did.
And
we have now direct flights, because of the military, into Huntsville and into Montgomery. You have 4 major cities in Alabama, and they come right down I-65. Huntsville, Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile, and all 4 of them have flights, whether they're from Washington or whether they're from New York. And, Huntsville has just become our largest city in the state.
Wow. You want to ask? You had a really good question. You actually had a really good question.
What was that?
You don't forget? You forget now. You're like a goldfish.
Yeah. Have you played every
I'd hope so.
Every hole
a week? Do you play every hole a week?
No.
Do you play every site a week?
Well, I play on Saturdays and Sundays, and I probably have played every hole on the trail. Yes.
Yeah. Well, no, Ben had a really good question about the helicopters or the puddle jumpers.
Yeah. Do you have guests that want to play as many as they can in one trip so that, can you helicopter between? Is that a service or part of
giving them
something?
No, probably not. I mean, you could try it, but you'd probably create more trouble than you're worth, with 2 people or 3 people on a helicopter.
Yeah.
So that's probably not one of my specialties, other than watching, the ad on TV or something.
What would you say if you had to pick? Let's say you only had a day or 2 to do this, the trail. What is the one location you just have to play? If you only had to pick out of 11.
Now that'd be impossible, because, as I said, it's not like most pit places where everything looks the same. So dramatically, if you want a links course, or you want a mountain course, or you want to through a swamp course or through a water course, I mean, there's probably only one site in the world that I have seen personally. And in Prattville, you have 3 championship courses. Every one of them is a totally different experience, because the topography is totally different.
Have you ever gone sledding down the Judge?
Yes, I played the Judge. As a matter of fact, this is Monday. I played it on Sunday, and it beat me up as usual.
Yeah, that would be like for us in Ohio, because we're going in the winter. I would think that would be a fantastic sledding hill down the first hole of the Judge, when you're way up there.
Actually, I parted on Sunday, which is the first time I think I've ever parted. I usually associate 2 lost balls with that thing, on the first shot and on the second shot.
Really?
Oh man, that's a hard hole.
It's fantastic.
And that's not hard compared to the rest of them out there.
Oh, well, it's like you've got this. Well, what would you say the elevation is on the first tee?
Well, it's certainly higher than 10 feet.
Yeah. it's really high, and it's gorgeous because you have the lake around the right-hand side and the back.
Right.
And it's just like you see this and you're thinking, oh man, I'm going to drive over the green. Well, it's, 400 and something yards.
Yeah. From that hill, you can see Montgomery's office buildings where I'm at now, and that's 12 miles away.
Oh, wow. It is up there.
And he only plays Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. He's still working.
I know.
He's
still working.
So,
old people have to work, otherwise we get really bored.
So how'd you get into golf? What was your introduction to golf?
That was my mother in Minnesota. She liked to play golf, and she had this little kid that following her along. That was me. And the golf game frustrated me so much. I had to, get my mouth washed out with soap every once in a while. But other than that, that's where I learned it.
We've had a famous Minnesota. We've had Tim Lumpy Heron.
Yeah.
We've had Lumpy.
There's a lot of good golf courses in Minnesota as well.
Oh, they're beautiful ones.
Yeah.
Really
So how'd you get to Alabama? I know you went to law school there. I mean, I'm sure you probably applied many places, but.
Well, I had finished my bachelor's and my master's degree at the State University up there at Mankato, and the vice president was coming to Tuscaloosa. And as my dad said to me one time when he found out I was coming down here, he said, you know, one time we went to New Jersey, and I told you at that time never to go that damn far south. But anyway, I ended up in Tuscaloosa, and I worked on my PhD and my law degree there. And then I was offered a job as the head of the retirement system.
So give me one word you would describe Auburn University.
Auburn?
Yeah.
Well, my daughter went to Auburn. I won't say what I would describe it as a rapid fan of Alabama or anything. So, yeah. But I love Auburn too. Auburn's really a beautiful school.
Yeah. Did you ever think of what's the closest trail course to University of Alabama?
Probably Birmingham, Ross Bridge, and Oxmoor Valley.
Okay.
We tried to do one over there, but this was one of my friends at that time that wanted to hang me. So basically, I passed on doing it in that community at that time.
You already said he had a friend that wanted to hang him.
Yeah.
I better watch you the whole time. If you try to hang me in this roof is coming down. It's coming down. We're going to take a quick break, David. We'll be right back with you.
Right.
Robert Keenan Winery, located in the historic Spring Mountain District of the Napa Valley. Celebrate the best ride you ever had, or get over your sorrows after the snowman on number 18. Drown yourself in one of the 14,000 cases per year they produce. Combine the dedication of experienced winemakers with a commitment to excellence. The Robert Keenan Winery has distinguished itself as a maker of exceptional wines in limited varietals and quantity. Wines for sipping, wines for enjoying, wine for enhancing any occasion. In the last 8 vintages, 42 wines have been rated between 90 and 97 points by Robert Parker Jr. As a special thank you, use code Clubs and Corks, all uppercase, and receive 20% off your next order with Keenan Winery. They are golfers just like me and you. You ever had Keenan wine, David?
No, I can't drink anything. I have a rotten mouth. It hurts, so I can't put anything that's alcohol in it.
Okay, that's not a bad thing. So, what else is there to do besides golf on the trail? Like, what do other people do when they play 18 or 36 holes? What else is there to do?
Well, you have the a half dozen. You got 3 Indian casinos. For those that like that, the neat part about Alabama is the history of the thing. There's really neat things. Like if you're in the Shoals, you have the Helen Keller, and you have where all the music that I grew up with in the 70s and 80s came from, and in Swampers and that sort of thing. And Birmingham is very interesting to see the largest motorcycle collection in the world. The only thing close to that is in Germany with the Mercedes that have all the Mercedeses. But this is a motorcycle thing called Barber Track in Birmingham, which is pretty special. The history of Montgomery and Selma are, really unparalleled. We have, everything in Mobile is again, just a totally different city, well over 300 years, almost, approaching the next century. Shipping town, it goes back. It's very much like Savannah, Georgia, really neat places like that in the South that are very interesting. So you have those things that are quite unusual and quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So when's the best time to visit the trail? In your opinion?
As a person that doesn't really like 110 degrees, I'm an enthusiast for the fall. Again, you can't tell with the crazy weather we've had the last 2 years, but the biggest months on the trail are usually March and April and May, as well as the end of September and October and November, which are usually beautiful months here. Yeah. And actually, as I wrote my dad one time when I took the job here, I said, it's Christmas Eve. I'm outside raking my leaves with my t-shirt on and my shorts. And that was on Christmas Eve. the next year it could be, a snowstorm, all we know. It doesn't snow here very often, once or twice a year, but that's about it.
Yeah, when it snows once or twice a year, they shut down the town.
Right.
Yeah, they do shut down
They
the
really
town.
do.
There's no doubt about that.
I went to school in Arkansas for 2 years and then transferred, and I'll never forget, we had a snowstorm, and I'm born and raised Canadian, so I mean I know about snow and cold weather, and I mean I swear to you, they shut down the whole university. It's closed, and there was literally like like someone sprayed salt packets on the ground.
Just to follow up your story, which is very interesting to me, I was sitting in a law school class when I was the first year, and I wrote, we didn't have cell phones and things like that. So I wrote Dad, and I said, Dad, you don't believe this place. It's closed down for 2 days now because it snowed in Tuscaloosa, but the green grass is protruding through the snow.
He's from Minnesota.
They don't know how to handle snow. There's no doubt about that.
No. Yeah. No. I mean, well, you get it maybe once or twice a year. So there's no need to have all the equipment for it, right?
Right. They don't have any equipment.
Right.
No, that's the problem.
I remember when kids, we'd always watch Atlanta because they would, watch people driving on the icy road. It'd be once a year, just be comical.
Yeah.
People going 50 and just flying into buildings.
Now you know why the South hates you.
Yeah. Well,
So what was it like, the whole process of getting some PGA Tour and LPGA Tour events? What was the kind of process behind that?
Well, in the beginning, let's just say that we've been fooling around with this for almost 30 years now, not quite 26, 27. But the problem with the PGA events and the LPGA events is that they've become so costly that you have to be tied in with a company that will be your major sponsor. That's the big difference. And if you go back, you look at Arnold Palmer, or you look at the guys, or you see their tournament winnings when they did it in the, let's say, the 70s, much less the 80s, 70s and 80s. It doesn't even compare to today. It's sort of like a lot of the cost inflation, whether they're professional athletes, whether it's baseball, the contracts they've been getting, whether it's football, the contracts some of them have been getting. So the problem with golf is the difficulty in getting good sponsors that want to sponsor it because it's just doesn't have the notoriety or the fan base that you have in the other two sports we mentioned.
Yeah. He's saying you made too much money.
Well,
yeah. You probably have to have too much money and you need to spend it somewhere.
Yeah. It's crazy the amount of money that they ask for nowadays for an event. It's upwards of 10 million, I believe.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah.
Now, but do the courses, because I've heard different things when the PGA Tour comes in and what have you. Does the course actually make money? Like, other than benefiting from publicity and what have you, because it's plastered everywhere for 4, 5, 6 days, whatever. But does the actual golf club or course make money?
Not really, because you have a lot of outflow of funds because you have to. The cute part is that they send in 2 or 3 different people over a number of months to tell you what you need to improve, which becomes expensive. And should we say, to the golfer that's out there between the improvement stage and the completion of the improvement stage isn't really conducive to golf sometimes. The bigger problem seems in my mind to be that, you really have to have a situation in which, either it turns into a party place, which is almost opposite of golf when you think of it, like a couple of holes out on the West Coast when they do the Phoenix Open or something like that comes to mind, or have so many people there that they're packing the place, which most people don't like. So you almost have to have the ability to fund your own tournament, and that just doesn't come with the game of golf.
Yeah, it's tough, right? I mean,
It is.
It's I understand why the tour does, but at the same time, I could see where it's just too costly. You see, especially when I was playing, you see them add these new tee boxes, right? Well, it benefits the club, the golf course in no way, because maybe a handful of players will play it all year, right? So the average golfer is not playing the tees. So they added 50 yards. Well, that does the club no benefit.
No.
Really. So Gene Stallings or Nick Saban? Who's the?
I know them both.
Wow.
So Nick is a Kent State grad like myself, but obviously he's got a statue now, doesn't he, down there?
And both Gene and Nick have them.
Yeah. Well, I knew Gene did. Does Nick just got one, but maybe a year or so ago?
Yeah.
So he's got to be really loved down there, right?
No, they are. I have a picture on my wall over here to the left of Gene Stallings. He used to have a wonderful tournament for his special needs child, and I'd go up to Tuscaloosa and play on somebody else's golf course, which I normally wouldn't do. Because people look at me like I'm going to try to buy it or something. And you go, I'm not interested. I'm just here. But anyway. Both of them play golf too, by the way, and they play better than I do. So,
who would you say is a better golfer, Gene Stallings or Nick Saban?
Oh, Nick is younger.
Oh,
that helps a lot, Yeah, you guys know that. No, come on.
Who would you say is the better coach, Bear Bryant or Nick Saban?
Both.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Good answer. Did Bear Bryant play golf?
I don't know if he did or not. I only met him, occasionally, very seldom.
Yeah, I'd be scared to play golf with Bear Bryant. I'm just going to get a drink. You are not allowed to drink water.
Yeah.
So you think Alabama can take it this year in the national championship?
It's going to be quite a fight. It's going to be a fight. You get a good flavor. The whole thing will come down to the Georgia-Alabama game.
Yeah. You see how he didn't say the Alabama-Auburn game?
Yeah. No, I've been to lots of those over my lifetime. It's
be a tough game.
It's an experience. It used to be a neater game than it is today, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because way back when I was in school, they used to have it in Birmingham, and half, like any stadium, it's a home stadium, and that you don't have a prayer because you are 1 in 20 or whatever it is if you're a visitor. But in Birmingham, that's why it was so cool way back when, was that they had 50% of the tickets went to Alabama fans, 50% went to Auburn fans.
So it's kind of like
there was no game like that in the world that I'd ever seen.
Yeah, Texas and Oklahoma would kind of do that right now.
Do they do that? I think it's really a neat way to do it, but you understand why a local businessman in Tuscaloosa or the local businessman in Auburn wanted to expand their stadiums so that they just have all the games.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Anything else to ask him?
I mean, I think we should get in
the Patreon
and find out what his favorite holes and courses are on the trail.
So, David, you're going to stick with us. Just remember, thank you so much. First and
thanks
foremost,
for joining us.
It was a blast. Just don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Thumbs up, all that stuff. And what else? Support us on Patreon.
Go visit the trail.
Yeah, go visit the trail. So, thank you, David.